Hi guys, welcome back to the Yorkshire Modeller. We now have issue 5 of the Hachette Partworks Spitfire. With issue 5, we're basically carrying on with the engine cover panel and engine housing. So we've got all the parts here. What we do need for this one, just let me make sure I've got it right first, is we need the propellers and that bit that's all attached on there. So I'll pop that there. And then we're going to need that bit that we built in the last issue, issue 4. And then we're also going to need the magnet that was left over from issue 4 because we're going to be attaching the side panel onto this bit. So we pretty much need everything from issue 4 so we can carry on with issue 5. So as normal, I'll get the camera pointed down at the desk. So it will look a little bit weird in comparison to what we've had before, but we'll get the camera pointed down at the desk and we will get started with issue 5. Right, so the engine cover panel is the first thing that we're going to do. So this is the same basically as what we did with the magnets for last week. We've got the cover panel just here. So that's obviously where we're going to be attaching the parts to on the back just there. Now you can see just there the little kind of flattened area where one of the magnets is going to go. So I'll just quickly show you the instructions here. So it does show you there where you've got the kind of, it shows it as a black line, whereas on the actual magnet it's like an engraving rather than a black line. And then on this one up here it shows the same thing, like a black line across the top. Just shows where these two go. So the one from last week, which I've got just set off to the side here, has the kind of engraving on the top, and I've got that with its corresponding piece from last week. Let me just zoom this out a little bit for you. Out, not in. Out. In fact, I'll zoom out all the way so I've got a little bit of a clearer view. So yeah, that's the corresponding parts from last week's issue. Then we've got the magnet with the engraving on its flat side from this week's issue with the kind of connector to hold it on. And then we've also got the screws just here to hold all this on together. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the video just for a second. I'm just going to rejig the camera just to get it a little bit closer to the table, and then we'll get started with the actual build for these parts. Right guys, so I'm hoping you can see this a little bit better now. Just move the instructions in a little bit so I can see them better. So, as described in the last step of the previous issue, fix the magnets 410 and 53 to the engine cover 51 using the fixtures 43 and 52. So they're the ones from last issue, so that'll be 410 for the magnet and 43 for the connector. And then that's the one from this issue, which will be 53 for the magnet and 52 for the connector. Ensure that the marks on the magnets are facing the directions indicated by the arrows and fix in place with 2 of the 3 PM screws. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with the ones from last week. Now, making sure, best thing to do that I've noticed with this is always make sure that you've got this part round the way that it is in the instructions. So how I'm holding it now for you guys will be the right way around, but I've got to do it that way so I can see what I'm doing here. So let's have a look. So I'm going to do this flat one. So where we've got that kind of like little flat indent just there, I'm going to do that one first. So that one's the one with the flat edge. So I'm guessing, if I'm remembering rightly from putting these parts down, that's this one. Oh, the joys of having a magnetic screwdriver. So that's that one. So that magnet has to go facing outwards, I think. So if I just plop that on there, like that. And then the connector itself has got the hole for the screw, and then you can see it just there, a hole for the pin, just the same as the last one. So that will fit in all nicely in there like that. And all we do is grab one of these screws and then screw that in just there like that. So that's that one done. Now the next one goes up towards this top corner. Whoops, sorry, just up towards this top corner here, just where that little pin is there. Now this one, the black mark or engraving has to be facing upwards. So, sorry, for some reason that's me getting a text message. Either that or an email from Hachette, we'll find out later. So, make sure I've got this the right way. So that goes on there like that, just onto that little kind of raised lip. For some reason it doesn't want to go on there properly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slot it into the little black connector first. I think this is the way I did it for the other one actually, the other side. So pop that in there, and then hold that in place like that, and then screw that in like that, tighten both the screws up, oopsie. So both of those are in place, and move that PM screw out of the way and put it in my screw pot. I'll get in it. You'll say I haven't super glued that together, have I? Right, so there are the two magnets in there nicely. So if we bring that part over, that should now just clip straight into place like that. So yeah, that one's all attached as well. In fact, I think that might be the wrong way around for that magnet because it doesn't appear to be sticking very well. Let me have another look at the instructions and I'll be straight back with you. Yeah, so basically I had got that the wrong way around. On this one, the kind of the bigger connector with the little peg, the engraving should be facing inwards, not facing outwards. So once I've put that in the right way round, which only took me a minute to sort out, that should, there you go, clip in like that. So that's the front of the engine housing for the moment, all done. Now we're moving on to that's the engine cover. Now we're doing the engine housing. So if I just pop those over there. Right, so what we're going to do now then is we're taking the engine housing, which is this part here, I think. Let's have a look. Looks like it's that one. Yeah, so it's this one just here, the engine housing. Carefully cut parts C and D from the sprue from frame 4.7. Check the fits of parts C and D. So let me just get these cut off of here with me clippers. So now with anything like this, it's obviously very important, don't clip off any sort of connectors that might be what attach it to the part that you're building. Sometimes you can get away with it if you can line things up properly. But obviously it's easier if you've got the pegs there, sorry. Right, so that's those bits cut off. So now the small kind of squarer part, I don't know whether you'll be able to see it very clearly, that one just there, that one fits on towards the front. So let me get some super glue on here and we can show you. There we go. So now this one, on the actual part that we're gluing it onto, there's like a little pin with a hole on just there. So that's the that pin on there needs to go in there. So you'll see it from obviously looking at the instructions. It'll be a lot clearer than me just saying that part there goes into that part there. But yeah, so, and then it lines up with the hole that's practically straight opposite it. So for this one as well, I might take a leaf out of Wayne over at Wilder Wayne's book. I saw the F40 video that he did this morning. I'll zoom that in a bit so you can see it a bit better. There we go. Where he was using Tamiya glue rather than super glue, which, to be honest, it's a little bit thinner. Than what I'm using here. Make sure I glue the right hole for this one. That one. It's a little bit thinner, obviously, than super glue. So it would go just a little bit further. Now I know he was using it on the F40 to attach the locking nuts in. So I'm kind of thinking I might try doing the same thing. Get a tweezer here. Now the reason I've been using super glue for the Spitfire and the Bismarck is just because of sort of force of habit, really. I built the Agostini Millennium Falcon a while ago, so that's those two pipes and cables all attached. Just there. Let's zoom you back out again. So yeah, I was building the Agostini Millennium Falcon a while ago, and on the Agostini page, or in the magazine, it says because it's resin, it's best to use super glue because normal model glue won't work. Now, I think these parts are just like normal plastic. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look into it, to be honest, and see. So, as I say, that's the two little pipes attached. Now it's take the engine housing 5.5 and check the fit of the 3 pegs circled in blue, which are on this little part here. It's just 3 little pegs kind of round that small semicircle. So that'd be check them on the inside there, I'm guessing. Nope. Ah, that side. There. So, yeah, they seem to be fitting in well. So what I'm actually going to do for this bit is I am going to use the Tamiya. Right then, so we've got the Tamiya extra thin. So I'm hoping this works. Now, where you've got the cables and pipes there, this part, the kind of engine housing, has to go over the top of them. So it'll fit, so you'll just barely be able to see them. Now, the good thing with this is it has got 3 little holes, and one of them that you're actually attaching it to, can't really see it very well there, but there's one tiny little hole that's got a gap in the middle that runs all the way through to the back. So if you put a dab of your glue on the back side of this rather than on the front, what you should get is the glue should hold it enough that when you turn it over, he says, it shouldn't fall off. Obviously that one did. So let's try that again. Glue that on there, get a dab. Then the good thing with this Tamiya extra thin as well is it's got, because it's so thin, it literally runs around the entire seam. So once it dries, it becomes one kind of set piece of plastic. That looks like it might be holding. That looks like it might be holding. Oh yes. That's holding. Brilliant. Right, so that's that bit done. Tamiya extra thins, I prefer it to super glue anyway for model building. So that's all attached just there. So that's that part done. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, and I have seen people having problems with this bit, so do take your time with this. Take the propeller and motor assembly from issue 2. And the assembled parts 5.5 and 5.4, which is what we've just built here, and fit between the motor and the nose cone as indicated by the arrow. Right, okay. By moving the parts backwards towards the motor housing, a peg on each side of the motor assembly fits into slots in the parts 5.4. When you're happy with the fit, apply a little super glue to the pegs. Excuse me. Now this does say to use super glue, so I'm thinking this might be resin now. So, see if that's that way around. Yes, it is. So what you're looking at here is basically on this side, so not the side that you've just glued this bit to, the bigger bit, that bit. On this side here, what you've got is two big holes. Get it in the light, there you go. So that one just there, and that one just there. And they go into two slots that are actually on the motor housing, which is just in here. You can't really see it very well, to be honest. See if I can get a better view. So just inside that little peg, you can just about make it out just there. Get the light back on it again there. So that bit just in there goes into that hole. So, and this goes in upside down. So it matches the shape of the nose cone. Yeah, it's the two little, sorry, I'm wrong again. It's not those two holes. There's two little square pegs that are a little bit higher up. It's actually those two square pegs that you're trying to fit it in. So it will literally just fit pretty much exactly where the engine sits. There we go. That's one in, that's two in. So when you've got it in and glued, it'll look kind of like that. So what I'm going to do now is so this bit, obviously try not to get any super glue onto the pegs. I'm going to try and use my Tamiya extra thin. As long as you don't put too much on it, it should, in theory, he says, hold it in place pretty well. You don't need to worry about getting super glue all over everything as well. There we go. Right. So the propeller still spins, which is good. That's a good start. And then next we fit the engine housing 5.7 over the motor housing assembly from issue 2. Note there's a peg on each side of 5.7 circled, which are on there, but on here you can see them just in these two bottom corners, one there and one there. That will fit into those two holes I told you about earlier on the piece that we just glued in. So that will sit on there like that, and it will actually cover up the cog. So same thing here. A little dab of glue onto each one of those pins. That's fine. There we go. So that's now all attached. I can't wait till we start getting either some better pieces, like colour-wise, so you don't just see black, and or I get some better lighting, which, like I say, shouldn't be too much longer. Right, so that's covered the cog. Now we take the parts assembled in issue 4, which are these ones here with the silver parts attached. So position the parts assembled in issue 4 over the motor and cog housing, so the open arch of part 4.8, which I'm guessing is that bit just there, fits over the cog housing 5.7 that we've just installed. When you're happy with the fit, apply a little super glue to the pegs on the assembly, and fix in place. So now this one I am going to use super glue for, only because, let's see where this is going to actually attach. So it's those two pegs there and there. Right, so actually on this little black bit inside here, you probably can't quite make them out, but there's two kind of little pegs. Just, that's one there, you can just see where my thumb is. There. And the other one's in the same position on the other side. that actually fits. So this might be all right with some extra thin actually. So put a little bit of extra thin in each of those two holes, just to create like a bit of a well. And then with this black side facing forwards, just push that gently into place. There we go. So that all lines up with what's underneath it. So that's that bit all attached as well. And now take the engine housing strut 5.6, which is this part that we've received in this issue. Position it beneath the assembly. The two pegs on the ends of part 5 should fit into the sockets in part 4.8 as indicated by the arrows. Note that the two sockets on 5.6 face away from the propeller. When you're happy with the fit, apply a little glue to the two pegs and fit into place. So now these two little pins on either end of here go into these two silver parts. That one, get a better view, that one, and then same on the other side, with those two little kind of nub hole type things facing away. So that's one, make sure it fits in place. That's two, hold that there, and then to me extra thin into there. A little bit on that one, a little bit more onto that one. There we go. There we go. So that's that one in place as well. Oh, no, it's not. That didn't hold. Right, this one might be a job for the super glue. In fact, I think this one is going to be a job for super glue. Right, I'm going to leave that to dry for a couple of minutes, and then, so I'll leave it like that, see if that works. And now, so take the lower fuselage assembly from issue 3, fit the motor and propeller into the fuselage, show that the screw holes on the motor align with the raised screw sockets in the lower fuselage, and fix in place with 4 PM screws. So we get 4 PM screws out of my little screw pot. This is why these kind of like medicine pots are brilliant, because you can just label them up with whichever one's which, and then if you do get extras, you know you're always going to be able just to grab them and that'll be it. So make sure that's in properly. Right, it seems to be holding itself in now, which is good. So, get rid of the sides that we've got on here at the moment. Let's put those off to one side. Now, the 4 holes on the bottom of the motor, kind of like the pegs, go onto those 4 pins just there. Now I've done a little bit of weathering on the inside of this, so just the same as I've done with certain parts of the Bismarck, just a little bit of a black wash just to kind of make it look a little bit more oily. So hold that in place like that. That seems to be fitting in well. And then just take each screw. Now I'm going to do this the same way I've done all the other parts, like for the Bismarck. So if you've not watched any of my Bismarck videos, pop over there. I'll see if I can get a link to them at the end. If I can get the playlist link so you can see everything. That was the first build I started doing on YouTube, so the first few videos are a little bit naff. Some of the later ones are a little bit naff, to be honest, as well, but it's just the way it goes. So this is something that my dad taught me years ago. He was restoring an old MGB, and when he was putting the wheels back on, he always said, if you're tightening anything up, like nuts or screws or things like that, and there's more than one, go opposite sides, and that way you don't have too much tension on one side. something like this also makes it easier to just keep all the parts, not so much level, but kind of more straight, because you're screwing everything on in, you know, like stages. So that's that one. And last one. Got a little bit more of a bite this side. There we go. Right, so that's that side in as well. So that is the nose of the Spitfire done. Propeller and the front engine housing fitted to the lower fuselage. Magnets have been fitted so the second fuselage cover can be attached. So what we've got now is that, which means that we can attach these panels to give us a little bit of an idea of what this thing will look like when it's going to be finished. There we go. From underneath, that looks fantastic. Right, so issue 5 of the Spitfire all done. Issue 6, we get some accessories for the engine. A number of accessories for the engine attached to the frames, plus some with larger details to supply with the next issue. So it looks like we get quite a lot of sprue stuff. This one, I think, is the oil filler cap. Either that or the fuel filler, but we'll find out when the next issue comes. Now, obviously, if you watched the video that I uploaded the other day about changes that are coming to the channel, you'll know that that video for issue 6 might not be up for quite a while. Short, brief version, I've stopped getting them from the newsagent because of the problems that we've got, you know, the worldwide health issues at the moment. So I've decided to go straight through Hachette. I've not seen any bad reviews about the service actually getting the magazines so much as trying to ring them to get like backdated magazines. I know there's someone commented on a previous video, I'm not sure it was for this or the Bismarck, I think it was the Bismarck, saying that they'd been waiting quite a while, you know, and they'd still not got the issues that they'd ordered. To be fair, I ordered issue 45 of the Bismarck the week after Christmas, and I only got it sort of last week. That will be coming up soon if you're watching the Bismarck as well as this. So yeah, but as far as the Spitfire goes, we're just getting more details, I'm guessing, for the actual engine block itself, but it could be for the propellers and what we've got attached at the moment as well. Now, I have used Tamiya Extra Thin on some of these parts, so I will let you know if that sets properly or if it's a little bit weak, and I'd recommend using super glue. But so far, you can see all looks good. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to the next few parts of this, to be honest. It's getting good. So as always, please remember to like, share and subscribe to the Yorkshire Modeller for more weekly model building geekiness. It won't be weekly for the time being, obviously with getting the magazines through from Hachette or Panini, if you're watching the F40. But after that, it will go back to being weekly videos. I'll record them all, upload them all, just do it all in one go. But yeah, until next time, guys, which will be issue 45 of the Bismarck, which I will try and post somewhere, a link to that series. Happy modelling, everyone.